What's going on YouTube? I'm Robert from Hitch to Horsepower, and today we're going to get you some tips on loading and strapping down a car in your trailer. First off, even if the trailer's been hooked up, you want to double check, make sure your safety chains are good, your coupler's secure with your lock or your pin, 7-way is nice and secure, landing gear's up. Every once in a while before the start of a trip and every day double check your tire pressure. Because of the depression in my driveway, I can put the trailer tires in it and get an extremely good angle for the ramp, and this 911 is not all that low, but I'm going to show you guys a trick if you do need a little bit better of an angle without spending $300 to $600 on race ramps. The best thing to do is just get yourself a set of oil change ramps from any auto parts store and drive the rear tires back up on it. That will raise the front of the trailer up and kick the rear end down, and you'll have an angle that you can load just about anything. And now the rear end of the trailer is barely off the ground, so you can pull your ramp down and you're almost flat. And one thing, if you're buying a trailer, I would highly recommend ordering an escape door. I used to have to climb out of the windows on my old trailer, out of the cars on my old trailer, but this is much easier. It was fine when I was a kid, and it was interesting trying to distract owners while I was climbing out of their $500,000 Rolls Royce, but get an escape door. And we get in the truck, make sure the mirrors are extended. This one's power. And then on this, I always double check the trailer lights, but this has a trailer light, making sure I can turn them on. Most trailers will come with 2 or maybe 4 D-rings in the front and 2 in the back. I always add a set all the way out by the outdoor edges. So if you have a car that has an extremely low front spoiler, instead of having the straps go underneath it and possibly scratching, which I happened to do to a Lamborghini one time, the only car I've ever scratched moving any cars, you can have the strap go to the outside and not have that happen. I use Vulcan exotic car straps. They go through the wheels, and there's the best way I've found to strap a car down. And the E-tracks are great, but you have to then get back beside the car, in front of the rear, or behind the front tires, and it can just be a pain. These, all you do is slip them through the wheel, pull them out through here, slide it through the buckle, through, make sure there's no twist, line the buckle up on the sidewall, pull it tight, come back, run it through your ratchet, and then depending on your clearance, it's still better to go inboard rather than outboard. It will hold tighter. So if you can, you go under, strap it down, and then just tighten it down. Get a firm strap to start with, get all 4 on, and then tighten them down front and rear. One thing to watch out for is the valve stem. So if you just go like this and you're tightening it down, you got to be real careful that you don't mess up that valve stem. You can go up high, but then you have to watch this. Down low, I wouldn't recommend, because if it slips, it's going to press. So either just relocate your car, or with these you can go farther back. Depending on your style of wheels, it's okay. With these you can even wrap them completely around the tire if you don't have wheels that you can pass through. But it's better to do this. One thing that I would suggest getting in the habit of is when you take your ratchet off of the D-ring, make sure you tuck it down. Most cars, it's going to be outside the tire, but if it's not, you'll snap it right off and possibly damage your tire. So just always fold them flush. One thing to make sure is that the strap on the tire is parallel. If you have it off at an angle over some time, it will loosen up. So just make sure when you do it, pull it nice and tight. Now in the rear, you'll see a lot of people say that, make sure you cross them. One thing I've found is the biggest reason to have them crossed is so that you pull at an angle. If you pull at an angle, they will still stay tight. I found that this angle is plenty to keep it tight, and sometimes if you pull it too far sideways, you end up pulling the wheels a little bit at kind of a weird sideways angle. So I prefer just doing this. And then you're not pulling all sideways on the wheels and tires. You're just pulling straight back, but at a somewhat of an angle to keep it tight. And then always, after the first 10 to 20 miles, get out, check the straps. Normally, if they're going to loosen up, that's going to be when it's going to happen. After all four are on, just come by, just give them a little snug up. Snap the buckle down. You can roll up the ends, especially if you're in an open trailer and you want to tie them down so they don't blow all over the place. Go back, give everything a look. Nice and tight, and that car is not going to go anywhere. And now we'll just back the trailer off the ramps. After everything's loaded, I make sure I pull it onto some level ground. And the big thing I check is on the trailer tires is look at the gap between the tire and the fender, front and rear, and try to make sure they're as close to even as possible. I'd prefer to have a little bit nose heavy, so then the front one would be a little bit smaller, but even is best. And thanks YouTube for watching. On some tips, things I've learned on towing cars over the last, well, since I was 14, I started helping my dad move cars around. And I've moved a lot of very interesting cars. I'll continue to move some other ones, and hopefully you can watch along. Please give me a subscribe and a like if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, bye.